quick thought. Don't want to make this take too long, so this Roll and Rambles will be a short Roll and Rambles. It is that inclusion is dilution. Basically, the problem with inclusion is that when you allow things into something, it changes the overall representation of that something, the overall makeup. Basically, if you have a group of people and you add other people, then the people that were originally there now have less of a say-so. They are lesser. Inherently, they are lesser in their own group, the group that they started or they chose people to bring in. Well, if you add other people in, the more people there are, the less value each individual holds in the group. The less important what they want or need is. Now, I bring this up primarily regarding identity groups, because inclusion is the big buzzword that we've heard for decades regarding identity groups. More specifically, often I find that it is women demanding to be included in men's things. More recently, it is trans people demanding to be included in women's things. But the problem is that a man's thing or a woman's thing or whatever, those things are those things because those particular groups do need to have things to themselves. The problem with the Civil Rights Acts in the United States in particular, I don't know about the rest of the world, but the problem with the Civil Rights Act and the concepts that evolved from that is that it basically legally forces everybody to include everybody else as soon as that everybody else pokes their head up and says, I demand. Hey, judge, they're not letting me in the gentleman's club. I demand to be let in. It's discrimination against me as a whatever for not being allowed in whatever club. But people who are of certain like attributes naturally gravitate towards one another, and they often do have some common struggles. When it comes to black people, nobody, and I mean nobody, will question whether there are uniquely black struggles. Nobody, not a single one of you watching, not a single person that you know is going to say, oh, I deny that uniquely black struggles exist. You're not going to do it. But the same is true for every other group of people, every other race, every other, one of the two genders that exists. And yes, sex and gender are the same thing. John Money should not be allowed to infect your mind. Look up John Money, you'll understand. It's terrible what he did to those children. That's where the whole gender theory thing actually started, by the way. People of certain groups need to be able to express their thoughts and ideas and opinions. They need to be able to talk about their struggles. They need to have their own subculture. They need to be able to have their own in-jokes or, tests or whatever. There are a variety of ways that humans get along with one another, and they need to be able to form their own groups and do these things. But when you take certain groups and you make them holy and say, if they want to be a part of your thing that's for your group, well, because they're a different group, you have to include them in your group. Otherwise, you're committing a crime. Yeah, that's a little bit of a problem, because now what you've effectively done is erased the identity of that group. And by extension, you are erasing the identity of the people that formed and joined that group in the first place. So because these other people are coming in, it does, in fact, without question, dilute the value of the group and the value of the people in the group and the thoughts that can be expressed in the group. There really is no argument to be had here. And if you are inclined to respond to this by saying, wait a minute, you're white, and so you must be talking about white people coming together and having groups and talking about white people struggles and blah, blah, blah. That sounds kind of racist. Just flip it, make it black, make it Jew, make it whatever, Native American, I don't care. Take any given group that you can come up with, any given identity group, replace white with that. If you do, and it's not racist anymore, then it was never racist for white people. Likewise, if you replace it and it sounds really racist, then it was racist when you said it about white people. I'm sick of this double standard where white people and or males and or straight people are the only groups that are allowed. And you can't take this pie chart and say that, okay, well, this job is for people, or this internship, or this program, this educational accelerator that will give you a leg up and let you get ahead of everybody else, is only for Black, Native American, Hispanic, Latino, East Asian, blah, blah, blah. Basically name every group except white. And we know what you're doing with that crap, okay? But that's a little bit of a different issue. I didn't want to go there, but it is sort of tangentially related. So every group needs to be able to have their own group. And the problem with the legal framework saying you're not allowed to exclude people is that if I have, say, my buddies, like say I got some white buddies I talk to, right, about, I don't know, white people things. I'm tired of people calling me racist, even though all I do is sit here and goon on my computer all day or something, right? That's the kind of thing that you might talk about. Well, of course not you. No, I know that you're not a goon or coomer, but that might be something that you do need to talk to someone else who understands about. Like, you feel really insulted by other people calling you racist all the time just by virtue of what color your skin is, when you don't even go outside and don't even talk to anybody. You don't even have a chance to be racist to other people, yet somehow you're racist by default, and you need to work through that struggle. So that's part of the problem with diluting the value of these groups. And when you have a tiny group, there's nothing anyone can really do about it. The problem is when you make a bigger group. If it's not like, 3 or 4 buddies getting together, now it's like 50 people. Or even if it's just 12 people. There was this group in Britain that was like, it was like a older men's group. And the whole point of it was for a bunch of, middle-aged, later age men to come together and to express their uniquely male issues and, just basically have some boys' time, some time with people that can understand their own struggles and where they are in life and their story and so on, in a way that women can't. And their wives were like, oh, wait a minute, it's not fair that, you go off and you do this thing. I want to come too. Basically, the men were nagged into allowing these women to come. And there are other videos on this. Lotus Eaters, Sargon of Akkad, Akkad Daily, Lotus Eaters. I can't remember which one it was that he did it on. But he talked about this group and what happened to them. Basically, the men ended up having to find some room at the meetups that they're doing where they sequester themselves if they want time away from the women that invaded their group. And it's like, oh, yeah, I didn't, the women were like, I didn't know that I would like this, but I like it now. Well, yeah, what you did is you came in and you destroyed a male group and you turned it into a unisex group, which completely loses the value of the group for the people who are in the group to deal with their struggles together. So yeah, inclusion is dilution. It destroys the values. It destroys the point, really. There needs to be less inclusion. Stop including people, especially by default. It's one thing if it's like public education. Everybody should have access to public education. Okay, fine. I can get on board with that. We don't have to discuss the problems with the public education system, but fundamentally I agree. Everyone should at least have access to a public education. But everyone should not have access to this little group of people that want to have their own little thing and aren't bothering anybody just because they show up and they're like, hey, I'm going to bust your group down, but I'm going to do it by complaining that you're just keeping me out or whatever. And the law says that you can't keep me out. Yeah, there's a reason that you invade. Most of the time, specifically with men's stuff, women invade because now men are at that and they're not giving the women attention. That really is all there is to it. It often is that, in fact. You don't see black people wanting to go and join white people groups nearly as much as you see women wanting to go and hop into men's groups. And this sort of trend goes all over the place. But in general, I want to leave it at that. Inclusion is dilution. Inclusion is destruction. You need to not include people that do not have severely strong merits for inclusion in the first place. If you need to think about the concept of inclusion and, should we add other people that aren't inside the criteria for the group, then the answer is no. The answer is always no. Because that's how the group ends. As soon as you let the group lose its way, it is now a different group. and you don't matter anymore, and the people that were in it with you don't matter anymore. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that crap, and I hope this has been educational.